What's up, traders? In today's video, we're going to take a look back at the previous trading week. Today is Friday, February 5th. It's NFP. This is normally a choppy trading week. This week in particular was like extra choppy. So there's a lot of value that we can take from this. There was a lot of people breaking their rules slightly this week and taking losses that are now going to kind of set them back going into a new month. This week statistically has always been choppy for the ASFX systems. So it's really important that I emphasize to you, one of the main reasons we're going to go over some choppy trades today is because I think, it's just what I believe, because we have this NFP news every first Friday of the month. So the entire week before that, you tend to see just choppier markets. Whether that's the reason or not, I'm not 100% sure. I'm always going to be honest with you guys. But the testing, the back testing in our system tells me that this is a week where we find the fewest amount of solid, high probability risk reward setups. So let me stop talking about that. Let me flip you over and just show you a chart because I know that's what you guys like to see. The first thing we're going to look at, this is Euro CAD. This is Wednesday, Tuesday into Wednesday. I wanted to go over this because this was a setup that could have induced you to jump in short and it would have stopped you out in this pullback here. So we wake up, I start my trading day right around here, around 5:30, somewhere in there. From the point when I woke up, now I was up a little bit earlier this day because I just couldn't sleep, so I was up a little bit before that, but from when I woke up, we clearly had a short bias. You see the TDI, it's in the sell zone. Everything there is telling us to look for shorts. Whoops, let me erase that. If you look at the EMAs, the 800 EMA is way on top. 200 EMA below that, 50 below that, so it's clearly short biased. And look at what it did the day before, a huge move down on Tuesday. That big move down set the RSI very oversold. So when we go in to draw our analysis on Wednesday, you have divergence present with a rising RSI and falling price action. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to bounce and follow that RSI and bounce higher. What it means is that you have to be careful going short. You have to make sure that you have good risk reward. And if that divergence line is in your way, then you don't want to take the trade. The move that we were looking at most actually ends up happening at almost 11 o'clock in the morning New York time, so it's after my trading session. We went over this at our VIP recap that we do. We went over this in the afternoon. But in the morning, as we were watching, let's just say here at 7 o'clock, the risk reward on this break off the 21, which could have looked like an A1, but it wasn't with good enough measurable risk reward to fit the bill. Look, you're only getting 1R. You have to risk 10 pips to make 10 pips. I'm looking to risk 10. I got to make at least 20. Now, even in that situation, it's not just that the risk reward there is off. It's this bullish divergence that really does turn you away, because what this tells you is not that it could rise and reverse completely, but that this drop that happened overnight and the previous day, that it could change. Divergence means change. That's a little nugget from our course. So what does this end up doing? Chopping its way sideways overnight, and then Thursday morning, it finally broke out to the downside to make a new low of week. So you weren't wrong in your direction. You can see it breaks lower the next day. But if you're not reading risk reward and being able to say, no, the risk reward isn't good enough here, you're getting in this trade a day early, getting chopped around only to see it move in your direction. So again, just like a trap kind of move there. Real quick, before we go into the next trade, I just want to take a second to thank Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Surfshark is a VPN that's going to help you protect your data. That's the most important reason why I wanted them to sponsor our videos, because I think all of us at some point have been ignorant to new information. And that's how I was treating these VPNs. I was like, no, who needs that? I'm fine. Finally, I think maybe from watching other YouTubers who are sponsored by them, I finally came around to it. I think it was when we were traveling to Mexico. I wanted to be safe. So I got it before we did that. And I'm so glad that I set it up. Unlimited devices on one account, which makes it super easy for me and Riley to have our phone, our iPad, our laptops, all of it hooked up. And they're giving you guys a great deal, 83% off, which is crazy, and 3 months free. So just check out the link flashing on the screen. I'm going to put it down in the description. If you want to try out Surfshark, you're going to love it. They're going to give you a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't love it, but I think you will. That's why I wanted them to sponsor us, and I'm just very appreciative of them for doing that. So check out the link, check out Surfshark. Let's get into GBP CHF. You can actually see the same thing happened earlier this week on Tuesday to the long side here. There was people looking for longs, because as this TDI swapped zones, it started to rise. You see that L50 is in the buy zone, EMAs are long biased, the 800 is way down here, 200 is here. So you're looking for longs off the 50 or off the 21 following the A1 system. If you don't know about the A1, I'm going to put a link in the description so you guys can find more information about that. But here, this formation, this 3-candle formation we call it, this almost fit the bill for an A1 entry, but it does not break out past the previous high set. And if you are doing your analysis properly, let me draw it with the right tool. you actually have bearish divergence here with that RSI falling because price is rising. It's divergent when one is going the opposite way. So price is rising, RSI is falling. So not only did you show rejection to the high a day resistance, you have divergence telling you that the RSI is falling. There's even more divergence if you look back to the previous day. Look at the RSI falling here and look at price rising at the same time. You can see it now. So you can see two sets of divergence showing you a lot of resistance up here. So a lot of people would look to jump in long here at 7 a.m. on this breakout, but I was one of them. I was ready to go long, but because we had the rejection from the previous high, and I'll zoom in so you can really see that right leg, we call it, did not break past the consolidation, and you have this divergence, that's two things against me that make this an invalid formation, plus it's a swapping TDI. Now I've got three things against me. It's a C setup. I can't take C setups to start my month. So right there, not taking the trade, what happens? Not going long saves me money because it ends up tanking and going short. So again, another trap move where if you're not sticking to the edge and you're just taking a trade because you feel like you might know the direction it's moving, you're going to get burned. NFP week will burn you. Now, one other thing I want to talk about when it comes to NFP, the dollar index is something that I do use not regularly, but enough because I think it helps me with my analysis on euro pairs. What I saw overnight was clear bearish divergence. So coming into NFP today, when I wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I've seen that we've already broken under the blue line here. That's the 50 EMA. I'll circle that so you can see. We're already under the 50. We broke it once, tried to get back above, could not, and broke down for the second time all the way to the 200, which is what you'd expect. That's our D2 signal. So when I woke up around 5 o'clock and I see it pulling back to the 50, in my mind, I'm thinking if it can hold the 50 EMA here, as we head into the 8:30 hour, it's going to end up moving lower because this TDI is falling over, prices structure is falling over, and we already hit the 200, which tells me we could break the 200 and go lower. And that's exactly what it did on the NFP news. But why it's contradictory to like what my gut would say is because if you look at the NFP news, the non-farm employment change was lower than forecast, which is seen as bad, and I can understand that. But the unemployment rate itself actually dropped from 6.7 to 6.3. So to see the dollar go lower on good unemployment news basically tells me that the dollar and the unemployment rate are not correlated. What it really is looking at, I think, is more the non-farm change and the average hourly earnings month-to-month change. Both of those were red, they're both negative, so that could be why you saw the dollar index move lower. As that dollar index moves lower, it pushes USD base pairs lower, USD CHF, USD JPY, they're going to get pushed lower. At the same time, it's going to push Euro USD higher because this is a USD quote pair. So that's why I use the dollar index, because this bearish divergence overnight, plus the breakdown of the 50 and the retest and hold of the 50, 2 hours, this is at 6:30, 2 hours before news, I'm saying to myself, if we can't get above the 50 before news, it's probably coming lower on the news. And that's what ends up happening. So when you see NFP coming in, it's important to say, look, I will be willing to take trades beforehand if they fit the bill, not like some of those trades I just showed you where they're close, but not perfect. But you have to be willing to get out of your trades before NFP. Look at Euro AUD. It ends up rising all morning from 4:30, 5 o'clock, all the way until 8 o'clock. NFP hits and it tanks, and it's now finishing the day making new lows off that high of day. It pulled all the way back to high of day, grabbed a couple more orders, whatever it had to do, hit the 200 EMA, and tanked on news. Here on EuroCAD, it actually ends up going higher. This is getting pushed by the CAD news. The CAD news was negative. Negative CAD news here makes sense why this is going higher. Positive CAD news would have pushed CAD base pairs up and CAD quote pairs down. So negative CAD news is going to push CAD quote pairs, which means it's EuroCAD. CAD is on the second side. CAD quote pairs will go higher. We're watching a D2, so you can see what I'm talking about. For some of you that don't know too much about the D2, it's one of the 3 entry signals that we trade, and I teach in the courses. Again, there's a link below to find out information on that. See this divergence overnight last night as the GBP pairs went higher on interest rate news yesterday? Euro GBP tanked, right? Because they move in opposite correlation. You have GBP USD versus Euro GBP. The GBP is on opposite ends. This set up a really clear bottom at 87.40, 87.41. It broke the 50 once, twice, tested it here, tested it with then some pins. After it tested it with a body, it was perfect. First break, second break, confirm once, confirm twice. It even hit it again here. All in all, when it gets over that 50 EMA, next target is the 200, the white line, and it makes it there. Now, it's only an 8 pip stop. and you're getting almost 3R, 8 pip stop, it goes 24 pips. So that was an interesting idea from today. And similar to that, you can look at Euro NZD marked up. It ends up moving higher. It actually pulled back a little bit here into the afternoon. Measure that. So about 82 pips, just about 2R. But again, that divergent bottom, you can see the RSI rising, price falling. One break of the 50, comes back down through it, makes a higher low off the divergence. Second break through the 50, that didn't have great risk reward to the 200 EMA because the 200 was so close to it. I think that's why it chopped sideways overnight, and it tried to pop the 800 today, but it just couldn't hold. I was looking for this to reverse from Wednesday. It just didn't make a move Wednesday. It chopped sideways, had to grab whatever it needed to do before finally kicking out on Thursday, and then Friday. Now today, it made a little bit of a push. But like I said, some of these GBP pairs were interesting today because you see massive moves yesterday through average daily range, like over 1.18% here on GBP NZD. This is all on the interest rate news, which is funny because the interest rate news, look, if you go back, it stayed the same. It all stayed the same. And all they did yesterday was announce a contraction in their economy in the UK. And somehow all the GBP pairs took that as positive news and it moved higher. So that's why news events sketch me out. I don't trade into high impact news like this at 7 a.m. yesterday on GBP. Same way I won't trade into the high impact news today at 8:30. I'll close my trades. I just won't do anything because I just don't know what can happen. So this divergence on top that carried in from today, you could think it'll make maybe a pullback lower as it has now later in the day. But initially, as this hit the 50 EMA this morning, I was thinking this could hold to 50 and move higher because this was such a strong move and it was based on news. I thought it could hit this 50 and move up. It didn't finish the day higher, but you do get a little pop. I know some of the guys were looking at this on GJ, long off the 21. That's not bad. 3.1R into the divergence. Again, similar. It has divergence here on top from the move yesterday because they all popped. But here you can actually get some decent risk reward on this one. Now, I did say we'll talk about the cryptos for a second, so I use a separate chart for this. I'm going to make a totally separate video for the crypto stuff that I've been doing once I'm done with these trades, or at least as I get closer to being completely done with them, and then I'm looking for new ones. But right now I'm holding 3 coins. Well, technically 4 because I'm still holding Ripple. But again, all of this crypto stuff, you do it with home run money, I call it, home run dollars. It could go to zero and yeah, it would take a loss, but I don't need that money for rent, so it's okay. So even deeper down the speculation bucket than the Forex trading. Both of them aren't speculative, so should be looked at with that money, but this is even more of the home run dollars. But I was just buying this stuff basically on high volume and breakouts past key levels. So we bought ADA back on January 14th. Since then, it's up about 70%, about 3.7R. I'm going to look to lock my stop loss later tonight, probably right here at 34.14, right under this candle. That's where I'm going to put my stop and profit later. CRV is another one that we've been holding. You can see my stop loss here at 135. This has been great. Even as it based out for a couple of days, I talked about this. See how it didn't move on these daily bars? We're at a daily chart here for everybody. And you can see it basing out over the 8 EMA. I was like, cool, this is 250. That's a decent number. I think it could hold 250 and break 3. Now we're at 318. It's up 5% almost today. Not a bad one, right? I picked it up the day after it broke out past all-time highs. Simple. Sia coin is the last one. This has been a good one too. I don't need 2 lines here. Hold on. There we go. So here was the entry call. Same day, January 14th. Same day I bought this. Actually, I bought this the next day. Sorry, the 16th. So 2 days apart. I bought on the 15th, 14th, and then the 16th. Here, we bought in on this one, 0.0046. The stop was 0.0033. Once it popped to 0.0138, 0.014, I moved my stop into profit. Let me make this black so you can see that. Here and here. So that's where my stop is on this one. So I just need to lock my stop on the ADA trade, but I was waiting for the breakout over 40 cents. If you look back here, you can see it was just sitting under 40. And I had this all-time high marked at 40, and I was like, cool. Once it breaks that, which it did with a really nice bar, then I'm going to put my stop right here. So that's what I'll do, like I said, after this video. But this looks good. Sia coin, back to this one. I still am going to hold this. I might just move my stop up a little bit to here, something like that. But this looks good as well. So I'm going to make a video about how I'm picking these cryptos. You can see I have a whole list of the Kraken ones here, and these green ones are the ones that I'm looking at next, just for some breakouts. I mean, look at this one. Solid breakout right here on Wave USD. I got to look into this. I like this one a lot, LSK. You can see this huge pennant that it's testing here at 175. If we can get over 175, 250 incoming. This one too. When Bitcoin is bullish, these ones should carry too. And if you take a look at Bitcoin, we just go back here. The 8 and 21 EMAs have crossed back up on Bitcoin. TDI is well in the buy zone. Even when it's overbought, this thing doesn't care. You can't look at the TDI for this kind of thing. You have to just look at price. 8 is above the 21. We've got a base here at 30,000. Who knows where we're going from here? If this wants to pick up fuel, we're out. Cool. Well, that covers everything. And you can see the stocks that I'm talking about. We've done a lot of stock videos. I need a specific stock video for you guys too to talk about the ones that I own. The thing I'm thinking about this weekend is dumping CLOV. You might hear me tweet that early next week, Monday or Tuesday, because they're facing some SEC lawsuit and I don't like what I'm reading about it. It's different than the Ripple lawsuit. I think Ripple can win their suit. This one is different. So I might need to dump these shares and put them into SPCE, which I'm not that mad about since there's an SPCE test flight coming in 2 weeks. So if this can pull back a little bit before the 13th or 14th, whenever February date is for the test flight, I'm going to look to add into this position before that. But I'll do a separate stock video. Comment below if you want to see that because I can get that done for you too. But I appreciate you guys giving me the time. It's probably a weekend or the end of the day. I hope your trading week went well. If you have any questions or if there was anything that I didn't cover that you would like to see in the next recap, just comment below so I know and I'll make sure I get it done for you. Hit the links in the description if you want to learn more about ASFX and what we're doing over here. I appreciate all the love there. And if there's anything I can do for you, email me, DM me. Just make sure you DM the real me, not a scam me. I'm always here to help. Thank you for the time, everybody. I'll see you guys in the next video.